at the
Okay.
point on a Zoom meeting.
All right, everybody. We're going to start with the open from group one. Group one is now the old two groups, the intermediate and the beginner. And let's start with anytime you guys are ready.
Okay.
Open group one.
Okay.
Wow,
So,
how I don't give a damn looks.
okay. So let me use this annotation thing. All right, let's see if it's working. No. Here we go. Okay. So now, do you want me to? I assume you want me to comment now, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I like the simplicity. I like the placement of the cup. I think the red shows off very nicely against the white bluish background, and this shadow line makes it interesting, and it occupies some of the negative space. And I have to assume that it's a filter that was applied to give it this mottled look, almost pixelated look. But I think it is a to my eye, it is a filter. I would give this a 7.
Hold on a second. It doesn't seem to be responding. Okay. Don't fence me in.
Okay.
Okay. Couple of things. I think it was a nice attempt, but there are several issues that I would like to point out. In particular, this doesn't seem to be sharp, and that's a significant issue. Also, when you're doing flowers, it's not always possible to pick out a perfect specimen, but guess what? In Photoshop, you can make it perfect. So it's very easy to remove these blemishes. And what I have done at times when something like this, where you have a gap, I take a petal, copy it, and put it and insert it. Now, to do that, you would have to select the entire flower, put it on its own image, and then you put the additional petals on layers below. So that's a trick to bear in mind. The other thing I would say is that the background is rather busy. I like the trellis look here. It complements, but the background is just too busy. So I would suggest keep at it, and you'll get there with perfect flower images. A 6.
Waiting to relax.
Okay. I think the rendition in black and white works. You'll look, because it focuses your attention on the patterns. You've got the patterns, of course, of the webbing in the chair. You've also have a pattern of the brickwork on the sidewalk or the patio. And I don't find the two just in here, the white portion of that's distracting, and I would clone that out. The other thing I would suggest is that there be more contrast, particularly on the chairs, to really make them pop. So I would selectively adjust the contrast on those. I use the curves, but however you want to do it, I would not do it on the entire image so that it really draws your attention to the texture of the chairs. A 7.
Etched in stone.
Okay. So I like the execution of, and the symmetry, and it's been done very well, the placement of the black circle in the square image. I'm just getting confused about where I should look, whether I should be looking at the red flower, which to my eye is a little bit oversaturated, or the background, which is, I guess, cut out to show the stone underneath it. If that is stone, whatever that background is. So I applaud the maker for being creative, but it just doesn't do much for me. Plus, as I mentioned before, perfect things. Either this flower should, the leaf should be really decayed, or it should be, quote, perfect. And so a lot of this here really should be dealt with, or you get a different specimen that has deteriorated even more. The 6.
2 beetles.
Okay. Well, I'm seeing 3. So nice tight image, and here's your picture. Because the 3rd beetle on the bottom here is out of focus, and it's drawing attention from the other 2 who look like they're having a party. Couple of things also to clean up. A little bit over here, that's easy to do with a clone tool. So ask yourself, what's the focus literally of my image? What do I want the viewer to see? And you certainly don't want them to be looking here. But I think it's a good attempt. 7.
Gina and Ray.
Okay. Where they're looking at something, and that has you thinking, what is it they're looking at? What's got their attention? I like the fact that you've captured the, at least the eyes here a little bit and here, even though they're looking down. Don't know quite what this is. It doesn't look like it's a part of the hair, whatever that is. It's a little bit distracting. The conversion, I think, is done well, and the subject matter is compatible with the conversion and the filter. 7.
Forgotten Pier.
Okay. So straight horizon, and that's always important. And now I'm trying to figure out where I should be looking. You've got a very interesting sky, so that's a plus. The boats, that's a distraction. And I think to salvage the image, to improve the image, I would clone those out. And that's, the small ones are pretty easy. The bigger ones are going to take a little bit of work, but it can be done. And then I think the focal point is the sky. In the distance, midground, you have the water, and the foreground, the pilings. And I don't think you need this portion of the image. So hold up your hand and block that portion and see if in your mind's eye that improves it and gives a focal point to the pilings, which are, in disarray, which is fine. The interesting coloration on the pilings, I'm not sure that why it's green and pink, but maybe that's just on the light. A 7.
Alan, excuse me, we're not seeing your circles.
Oh, okay. Do you see this?
No.
Huh. How about this?
No, sir.
Wow.
We did on the first slide.
All right, let me go out. And view, how about this?
Nope.
Oh. I don't know why that is because, all right, let me try one.
You know what? Let me share and unshare again.
Oh,
Let me try that.
yeah, those are all my marks.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. All right, so let me try sharing it again. See if that makes a difference. Hold on. Let me try to get back in there.
Okay.
I don't know how I got back here. Hold on. I don't know what's going, give me a minute. I'm gonna have to fix scores here. I don't know what happened here. Okay.
Remember, this is being recorded.
Yeah, and it's gonna be edited too. Okay, let's take up with the red rose.
Let's see if we can. You see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Hopefully it will work beyond the first one. Okay. The title?
Red rose.
Okay. Well, a nice tight shot. I like the contrast between the red and the green. It really makes the flower pop, and the background is not busy, so you really are focusing on the rose. Problem is, I don't think the rose is sharp in everywhere where it should be. You really, through this area here, you really should have good detail, sharpness, and see all that texture in the rose. Now, having said that, even if it was sharp, one thing that portion of the image, just clone it out. It the other I don't know what you call those parts of the flower, but those other green parts are fine. But unfortunately, it's just not sharp. Although like I said, the composition, the angle of the flower, the background is good. 6.
Okay, I have to go back into it. Some fruit.
Well, the image is about the fruit, but it's almost too much about the filter, the transformation of it. But I do think it works. I would prefer for this image if the background was simpler or a little bit darker and less contrast, so that you're really focusing on the plate with the fruit. I think the composition of the fruit is good. The variation in texture and color and the choice of the plate all works well. But like I said, I would prefer less distraction from the background, the 7.
Portrait of Mookie.
Okay. A nice tight shot, but Mookie is not in focus, and Mookie should be in focus. And unfortunately, this is all blown out here. This down here, but I think the lighting was just too harsh, and you've got a lot of noise up in the ears from the way it was processed. So if the cat was behind glass, the glass was not really doing you a favor. You know, no matter what price camera you have, the glass in front of your camera, your lens, is much better quality than just plain glass. And the plain glass will deteriorate your image. 6.
Pink Rose again,
Okay.
another one.
Okay. So here you have very selective focus right here, nice and sharp. The rest of it falls off, which is, whoop. Okay.
Go ahead.
The rest of the image falls off. That's the maker's creative decision. And I think it works well. The background, multicolored, but it doesn't compete too much with the flower. My preference would be to make that background a little darker and a little less saturated. And I would have put a vignette so that the background is the background and not competing as much with the rose. And I probably would have just cloned this out. That's easy to do. A 7.
Where I've been.
Okay. Well, I find myself looking both in the rearview mirror as well done. The unfortunately, you have we all have this in our mirrors. I would prefer to take it out, but that would really be a challenge to remove that. But if I was really in love and wanted to upgrade this image, I would see if I could clone out all that writing, but it would be a challenge. I would suggest perhaps eliminating this portion. I think the stronger part of the image is the receding roadway, the lines leading you to the far horizon, and you don't want it to compete with this stuff here. So that would be my suggestion. And I would darken again this outer portion so that it doesn't compete as much with what my eye is drawn to, which is the leading lines in the mirror, a 7.
Hummingbird moth.
Okay. Okay, the moth is sharp, and it's on these flowers that unfortunately are competing a little bit too much with the really beautiful coloration of on the moth, but that's where it landed. I think a vignette would help. You just darken the outside just a little bit. Maybe there is a little bit, but perhaps a little bit more would help. Show his eye right to the moth. And I would tone down that pink just a little bit. Again, the subject matter is the moth, is 7.
Peaceful.
Okay, nice sky. You've got a foreground with the fence, middle ground with the lake, a pond, and then the background with the clouds, the sky. You're framing the image on the left with the tree. So it's a nice, it is indeed a nice peaceful country scene. 7.
Okay. We just move this. I have to move this here. All right. We have 10 for the second round.
Okay,
How I don't give a damn look.
8,
Waiting to relax.
8,
2 Beatles.
7,
Gina and Ray.
9,
Forgotten Pier.
7,
Some fruit.
8,
Pink rose.
9,
Where I've been.
8,
Hummingbird moth.
8,
Peaceful.
8.
Okay, we're gonna from these two, we're going to do a first place and second place.
Okay. The rose.
That's first place.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, now from here, we're going to pick. Let me make it so you can see all of them. A third place.
I'll go with the cup.
Okay. All right, Stonebridge Photo Club, open group 1. Third place, How I Don't Give a Damn looks, Walter, terrific job. Second place, Gina and Ray, Michelle, fantastic. And first place, Claude. Wow, great job, Claude. All right, now we're gonna go through group 2. We have 21 entries.
Okay.
Let me just see if I can move this over a little. Stonebridge Photo Club, open group 2. Smokers pollution.
Well, I've got a couple of shots like that, but not nearly as dramatic. That just captures and says it all, and great saturation, good composition. There's nothing extraneous in the image, and it conveys a really strong message. 7.
1 room schoolhouse near the farm.
Really nice, low lighting. You get So the maker has captured great shadows that add to the ambience. Nice warm lighting on the schoolhouse. Of course, it's really tough to get good exposure on the whole landscape and not blow out the sun. I guess you could do it with, a little bit with HDR, but as presented, I think it was done very well. And I like the cropping. There's, again, nothing extraneous, very simple. I'm not sure what kind of farm implement this is, leads you to the schoolhouse, and then I look at the sun and then back to 7.
Tuscan countryside.
So I'm figuring out where I'm supposed to look, other than it's the whole countryside. So it's a little bit not just busy, but there's no adequate focal point for me to lock onto. And also, I think the saturation is a little bit light. I think I would have brought out a little bit more of the red and the green to make it pop just a little bit more. 6.
Dandelion on the edge.
So here's an image, just a side comment, that could really use a stroke around it that would really make it pop. But this is nice and sharp. I like the pattern there that the seed pods create. And because this is where it's sharp, then I question if you need to have as much of the remainder of the image and a significant portion of the image that is not sharp. Now, I think the image is ending up here and going like this. And I think I would prefer cropping it something like this. And so the out of focus seed pods form a frame, which it already does, but it's a smaller frame, and it really forces you into the center portion, the lower left portion, where it's in very much the black and white rendering, because it emphasizes texture, a simple dark background. As presented, though, I would just get rid of that if you want to keep it cropped. 7.
Cloudy sunrise.
Nice placement of the tree. The emphasis is on a very interesting sky. Nothing is blown out. Beautiful contrast between the yellow and the blue, and the sky itself is drawing you right to the tree. If you look, there is like the pattern in the clouds is creating that. And I like very much the fact that you've got these grasses running along the bottom that break up what would otherwise be the monotony and the blackness of the lower portion, the 7.
Kois.
Okay. Well, either this is a pattern, or I'm looking for a focal point again, a place to land. And I don't really think it makes a pattern. And so I think it's deficient from the point of view of where I should look. especially you've got, half fissures here and here. And also with the filter applied, I don't really see any detail. And I think I want to see some more detail, the 6.
New growth up close.
Okay. I like the placement. I like the color difference between the background and these leaves. But I'm looking to see where the subject is sharp and where it's not. And seems this is sharp. Maybe there's a little bit sharp here, but the rest is not sharp. And I think it really should be, or the central portion should be sharp. So I don't know what f-stop you used, but it's just not, the subject itself is not sharp enough. And at first I saw that the top was clipped, and I was going to comment on that, but you've clipped on the bottom as well. So that was very deliberate, and that's okay. And as I've said it a few other times, in terms of the background, I would make it a little bit darker, tone it down. And I think right around here, I'm seeing some halo effect. 6.
Lace cap hydrangea.
Okay. Very interesting capture in terms of the outer flowers sort of forming a crown around the inner flowers that have yet to fully bloom. So I like that. And the background with the green leaves also, I think, complements the image. Again, my personal preference would be to diminish the background a bit. I kind of like this tonality more than the bright tonality. And you could do, I'm tongue-tied, tone down some of the brightness selectively to match maybe a darker tone. But the composition I like very much. I think it's very well done, and there's nothing extraneous in the image. The 7.
Raoul's.
Well, I don't know how you got those two guys to sit in the same position with their hands folded and the legs crossed. Whether it was posed or not doesn't matter, but that's great. And the couple on the left talking to each other, the setting, the lighting, really just tells a very interesting story. 7.
Dandelion center.
Okay. Well, I think this one really works well. The coloration, I like the coloration. This is all sharp through here, and then it even some of this, and then it falls off, which is fine. It's a great viewpoint. The background, the black background, helps make the subject stand out with no conflict. The 7.
Milky splash.
Okay. I've never tried to do this. I think it's a challenge, and my wife won't let me spill all this milk. So after this is over, the maker can tell me how many tries you had to get this one. So just the effort alone in doing this is great. And a couple of minor comments. I just tone that down a bit. It's sharp where it needs to be, which is this top part of the splash. 7.
My eye is on you.
I was gonna make a comment about the eye and no, I won't even say it. Okay. Well, it's a very interesting concept. I would never think to do something like that. That's great, it's creative. I think I would want to see just this little bit of this corner of this eye. And normally with an eye, you try to take out the little veins, the redness. Here, I think it works, that it's not, although I would take out maybe some of these little white specks. And my only question is how sharp the image is. It looks like it was taken with a flash. I see some reflections here and all through here. And of course, there are double highlights in the eye. So I would get rid of those and smooth that out. And looking at the image, the subject, I've said it before, the subject is here. And that's one tonality, one degree of lightness, darkness. And then you've got the fall off beyond that. And this portion on the left, it's too dark. I mean, it's too bright. It should be a little bit darker. I don't want to go over here. I want to look at this eye. 6.
Fungus among us.
Okay. Nice tight shot, good texture. I would, maybe leave a little bit more room here, a little smidgen there. And I think I would like to have seen a little bit more texture within on the surface of the mushroom and a little bit more contrast. But the composition is good. The background is good. The 7.
Under construction.
Okay. Well, there probably are all sorts of possible images for this subject. Unfortunately, I don't think this works. I'm not sure where I should look. It's too busy. You've got the people here in the background that I don't think contribute. There's a little bit of a glow right here. I think the interesting part of the image would have been just the abstract formed by the wood slats or whatever those are. It's just very busy. 6.
Men at work.
Well, the symmetry of the 4 windows works very well. It's not black and white. The sepia look really fits the subject matter, makes it feel very old time, and it really tells the story that the caption speaks of. 7.
Reflections in the woods.
I like the concept. The reflection is nice and sharp, and it looks like an interesting image. Concern I have is this big rock here. It's too big. It takes up too much space to be out of focus. I think the image would benefit from maybe eliminating that. Maybe keep just a small portion of it, but I'm being drawn to that out of focus rock too much versus what you want me to look at, which is this sphere, which is done very, very nicely. But I'll give it a 7.
Cardinal in the cold.
Really good detail on the bird. Little bit, maybe a tad soft over here, but I think the exposure was handled very well. The snow was not blown out. It tells a nice story. A 7.
Dimitri in black and white.
Well, unfortunately, Dimitri got amputated. And well, it looks like it. The filtering and the black and white. I guess the high key, so it makes him look like he's floating in space, which is fine. That's artistic. But I'm really troubled by that, and maybe if it was something like this, much tighter, or even, well, there's a way to draw a straight line, but I won't bother. Something like this, where the legs are not chopped off. That being said, I think the subject matter is nice. Exposure is well handled. The contrast is good. 7.
All torn up. All torn up.
Okay. So if this was created by the maker in Photoshop with different images, then I'd say bravo. But if it's a picture of this montage, regardless of who created the montage, then it's a picture of someone else's work. And I don't think you have contributed your own artistic endeavor to create this as your own. So the exposure is good. And since I don't know how it was created, I'm going to assume it. I'm not going to knock it down because it's a picture of someone else's work, but I'll give it a 7.
Hibiscus in the rain.
Nice texture. Saturation, however, and really just tight cropping. There's no doubt what the subject matter is, but the saturation is a little bit overdone. Both the reds and the greens. I think that needs to be toned down quite a bit. 6.
Parasol shadows.
Everything is nice and sharp, great geometric image, nice shadows, the ribs, create all those shadows plus the ribs themselves. I like the fact that the center of the parasol, the umbrella, is not quite centered in the image. It's not on the rule of thirds, but so be it. That doesn't matter. By putting it a little bit off center, it makes it a little bit more dynamic. And you've got a nice tonal range, and you can almost reach out and touch this image for the texture in it. 7.
Okay. Round two, we have 15 pictures. Smokers pollution,
A 9,
one-room schoolhouse near the farm,
8,
dandelion on the edge,
7,
cloudy sunrise,
9,
Are you kidding?
lace cap hydrangea,
8,
Raoul's,
8,
dandelion center,
9,
milky splash,
8,
fungus among us,
7,
men at work,
9,
reflections in the wood,
7,
cardinal in the cold,
8,
Dimitri in black and white,
7,
all Tom up.
7,
Excuse me, I didn't hear it.
7,
Parasol shadows.
9.
Okay. From here, we're going to take a first, second, and third, and the rest will get honorable mention.
Okay, the first is the parasol.
Hold on, let me get to it. Okay,
The second is the dandelion.
okay,
And let me see the others, please. Okay, the third are the men working.
okay. Is that all three now?
What was that?
We have all three now, first,
I
second, and
believe
third.
so.
Okay. And here we go. Stonebridge Photo Club, open, group 2, honorable mention. Smokers Pollution, Dan, fantastic, Dan. Cloudy Sunrise, Mario, beautiful. Third place, Men at Work, Dan, really nice. Second place, Dandelion Center, Sandy, nice, beautiful. And first place, Parasol Shadows, Dan, wow, you really captured it, Dan. Okay, now we're gonna go theme. We have 16. Stonebridge Photo Club theme symbols, houses of worship, House of Worship, Group 1, church.
I like the composition. It's well done. The cropping of just having the roof and the, I guess, I don't know, those, what do you call those, cupolas on the church. And I think the filter works well with this. I like its impact on the image, a 7.
Faith,
No. If I didn't know the subject matter, I would be hard pressed to know really what's happening in this scene, given the angle that it was shot at. I assumed that the woman is looking into an altar, but it's a little bit busy, but it's not strong in terms of supporting the the theme, 6.
The Redeemer.
Good exposure. I'd watch the blown out area here. That's easy to clone out, just copy some of the surrounding area. The clouds seem to have been favorable to you in terms of surrounding and outlining most of the statue, which is nice. Of course, you know, you didn't have anything to do with it other than waiting to take it. The 7.
Collateral damage.
Well, somehow or other, you know, I see the sign, and that's framing the upper portion, and then I look down, and well, where's the rest of it? So I'm really wanting to see what's below here. It was cut off just a little bit too much, and I don't know if this was a filter or just a lot of noise that I see, especially in the blues up here. A 6.
His story.
Okay. Just capturing a portion of the stained glass window, I assume it's a portion of it, makes for an interesting image. The exposure is good, composition is good, the saturation is handled well. A 7.
Oh, hell, Mosh Synagogue, Shanghai, China. And pardon my English.
Okay. So if I didn't know the theme, I'm not sure I would have picked up so readily that this was a synagogue, other than I think that's a Magen David here. And so with the theme being place of worship, this is really your subject area to emphasize the theme. The rest of the building really doesn't speak out that it's a synagogue. You know, unlike, you know, you see some of the great cathedrals in Europe, almost any way you take a picture, it says I'm a cathedral. So in terms of the theme, I don't think it really is strong. Oh, that's my phone, so I'm sorry. Someone wants me to buy something I don't want to buy, so bear with it. I'm not going to answer. So the exposure is good. I would bring out a little bit more detail in the shadow part, and I tend to correct for parallax. I like the verticals to be vertical, and this is leaning in a little bit too much. A 6.
For whom the bells toll.
Okay, so I think these are incense sticks. So it's sharp here. Exposure is good, but it looks like things were moving in the background. And I'm drawing there too much. And it's a little bit busy. A 6.
Mother and child.
Okay. Okay, good exposure. I think I'm okay with this arch being here. I don't think I would want it to be cropped any stronger, but I probably, since the statue is looking to the right, I would crop off a little bit on the left and maybe a little bit up here to emphasize looking in this direction. A 7.
Eldridge Synagogue.
Well, this does say to me that it is a synagogue. It's a little bit busy, but I like the juxtaposition of the chandelier and the stained glass window. I think there's a proper amount of each, that they each have their own impact, and nothing seems to be blown out, which is really nice. That, you know, these lights, some of them might be a tad, but it doesn't, I don't think it detracts there. I might have toned that down just a little bit, but most of them seem to be okay. And the window seems, it doesn't seem to have any blown out areas. 7.
Oh, Naga Hindu goddess.
So the subject matter stands out well from the background. Just looking to see if everything is sharp. The foreground is sharp. I think it is. I'm moving my head. I have Verilux lenses, so I'm moving them up and down to see. Okay. I just don't get a feeling of impact of where you want me to look. There's just so much going on here, and it looks to me like it was taken with a flash, and you could see the hot spots here. But I'll give it a 7.
Giant Wild Goose Pagoda, Giant, China.
Now, good exposure. I would straighten the image. It looks like it's running downhill here. Even the table. So that's easy to take care of. You can go into Photoshop and under edit and distort, or free transform rather. But I think your image is this part. I don't think you need this foreground. I don't think you need this little table. You want to focus on the Buddha. A 7.
Venetian Church.
I like the angle that it was taken at. The basic composition. It does have some issues. One, this is all blown out a little bit over here, and that's tough because the sun is coming in from that direction, and it would really be a challenge to clone. And the only way around that would have been to do, HDR. The other thing, I would clone out some of these people here, so you don't really half a person. And one thing you could do, if you're in a spot like this and you don't want the people, you take set it up on a tripod, take multiple images, and then you could do in Photoshop, I think it's called median, and it basically eliminates the people. On the other hand, if you had one central figure making a statement in the image, then that would make it stronger. I think there's a person here, but it's still so small it really doesn't matter. A 7.
82 years of time.
Okay. Well positioned, very symmetrical. I boost the contrast just a little bit. And I would get rid of the hotspot over here. But otherwise, I think it's well done. 7.
You buy my fan.
I like the nice composition. The sky's a bit washed out. And I'm just looking at the woman's face. I think that's, yeah, it's okay. But the sky's just too washed out, and that could be changed. You could select it in Photoshop, or you could go into Viveza and bring out a little bit more texture, a little bit more blue, and that would make for a better contrast for the statue. 6.
Going together.
Okay, very simple. I like the composition. Good exposure. I either include all of this. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's distracting. Or clone it out. You don't really need it to give you to make the statement in terms of the image, the weather vane. Jewish star here. Nicely handled. 7.
She works hard for her honey.
Not sure how the photographer arranged to have all these people in the wedding to take this picture, but so be it. Because it's unfortunate with the sky being blown out, and so you don't need it. I mean, you can either replace it or you don't need it, just to tell the story. I mean, you know it's a church. Well, you can even crop it over there. Get rid of the sky, and you need to straighten this out. It looks like it's better on the bottom, so this portion of the image has to be lifted up, and again, you can do that in transform. And I think the image, especially the church itself, could benefit from a little bit more contrast, and then opening up the shadows to show some of the, looks like the mosaics in the archways. A 7.
Okay, we've got 11 for round 2. Church.
I'll give this a 9.
The Redeemer.
7.
His story.
8.
Mother and child.
7.
Eldridge Synagogue.
8.
Ko Nagar Hindu goddess.
7.
Giant wild goose pagoda, China.
7.
Venetian Church,
8,
5782 years of time,
8,
going together.
9,
She works hard for our honey.
7,
Okay. From here, we're gonna pick first and second place.
this is,
Go back.
yeah, that's first. Second, obviously.
Yeah. Okay, from here, we're going to take third place.
Okay, I'll give it to this one that you're displaying right now.
Okay. Theme, Symbol House of Worship, Group 1. Third place. His story, Flo. Beautiful job, Flo. Second place, Going Together. Once again, Flo. Wow. And first place, Michelle. Wow. Beautiful job, Michelle. Okay. And we have 22 in here. Stonebridge Photo Club theme, Symbols, Houses of Worship, Group 2. Watching over all.
Good exposure, you have good texture, good detail. It's a bit static. 7.
Offerings to Buddha.
Well, I like the subject matter in terms of the angle here. The woman with the offering. Unfortunately, the shutter speed was too low. This guy is totally out of focus. So why do you need him? Just, there's your image. You don't need him even if he wasn't focused, because then you're saying, okay, should I look at him? Should I look at her? Then I go back and forth, back and forth. Just take him out. And I would crop it. Something like that. So you have the fruit offerings, I guess this fountain, the statue here, and that tells the story. 7, I'm sorry, 6.
First Church organ in New Zealand.
I like the saturation, the detail, I think it was a challenge to get this shot without a lot of glare off of the wood. I think I would have preferred it a little bit squarer, face on. I don't know if I like this bench here. I don't think so. So I personally, I would have straightened this, and that's the engineer in me. I don't like things cockeyed. And I would have just cropped it. There's the image of the organ, and then that eliminates this window on the side, which you don't need. Let me clear all this. Give this a 6.
Chapel.
Okay. Really well done. Great placement. I mean, almost perfectly symmetrical, just a tad more on this side than there is on the other side. That's easy to take care of. Exposure is good. Saturation is really good. Reflection here, that was handled well. A 7.
Sanctuary.
Okay, nice detail, slightly dark. And I'm okay with these columns being on a slight angle. That's fine. It's not exaggerated too much. And I think something like this, not only try it, I think you were standing up, get all the way down and try a shot like that, and then get closer and aim up, get some weird angles. But as presented, I think it works well. A 7.
Up on the mountain.
Okay. I like the juxtaposition, the crucifix, the church, the angles of both. You have, these are comparable, so that works really well. They reinforce each other. I'm just a little bit put off by the sky. I think it was a little bit overdone, whether it was the original or replaced. It's a little bit overdone to my taste. This just too deep of blue. But given the composition and the sharpness of everything, I'll give this a 7.
Church steeple in the spring.
No. Given the subject matter, I think it would benefit by cropping a little bit more and focusing in on the cross. And it need not be in the center, but that's, so maybe pop. Oh, no. Yeah. Pop like this. To emphasize the steeple, the spire, more than the flowers. Again, given your theme, that's what you want to emphasize. But the exposure is good. 7.
2 cherubs, number 2.
Okay. They look like they're in a wrestling match in mud, but I think it's nicely handled. I like the fall off in the background here that emphasizes these 2 statues with, I guess, various lichen or some sort of growth on them, whether deliberate or otherwise. Nicely done, very interesting, intriguing image. 7.
Welcome to St. Vlad's.
Well, I gotta be careful here. The top of with the crucifix. And I like the angle looking up. It gives it a sense of soaring. Good exposure. Good detail. 7.
Entering the temple.
The sepia tone works well, but there are a bunch of things I would comment on here. This hand, you don't need that. I think you crop it, eliminate that. Also, there seems to be a stroke around part of it and not the other part. So I'm not sure what's happening here, but I'll ignore that. but I'm not sure where I'm supposed to look. This pot with the, what do you call it, the incense sticks. So there's really not a focal point for me. And this is, it's just overexposed and overexposed here. 6.
Inside a Shinto shrine.
Good exposure. Nice saturation. Comment, I would either include all of this decoration, or I assume it's not in the original. So perhaps either clone it out or just crop that off. But the rest of it is done very well. Again, like I said, good saturation, good detail, good contrast. The 7.
Suka.
Right, interesting angle. So it's not a static image, which makes it interesting, and it's soaring. You're looking up at it, so I like that. I like the shadows that are cast on the cloth. I'd want to bring out a little bit more detail in this branch, or get rid of it. That's easy enough to clone out. The sky is pretty uniform, and you don't really need it. In fact, I think my preference is to clone it out, so it doesn't detract from the rest of the image. And it's a good saturation and good contrast, good exposure. The 7.
Solemn prayer.
I like the placement of the woman worshiping, and the solitude, the loneliness, the isolation that the image conveys. Maybe get rid of a little bit here and have all the emphasis on her and looking towards the front. But good saturation, good exposure, good detail. 7.
Reflections on a church door.
Okay, nice artistic attempt, good exposure. I wish there was maybe a little bit more interest in what was being reflected other than people, but it is, that's what it was. I don't see anything that's blown out. 7.
2 cherubs.
Okay. Let's watch over here. Almost lost the finger. And this cherub in the front, let me clear this. This one's sharp. And this one is not. And now I'm trying to decide if I like that or not. But while I'm deciding that, I would clone this little rock out because it's light and you don't need it. I think I would like this to be sharper. But it's presented, I think it's a nice attempt. 7.
La Sagrada Familia entrance.
Well, the cathedral itself is busy. So how do you not take a busy picture? I think I would maybe bring out, I don't know if you could bring out more detail in the shadow here. And maybe the thing to do is to concentrate on a smaller portion, especially dealing with such an inherently busy scene. So the exposure is good, the saturation, but I think it needs to have less to have more impact. A 7.
Prayer shawls.
Good exposure. I very much like the light here that highlights them. Having said that, I don't know if you can tone down the light on the top of the bench, but it's very simple. And you're going in this direction. It's on an angle, it's not static. 7.
Buddha temple monk.
Okay. I think you've isolated the image, the subject very well. I perhaps tone down a little bit on the face, and I would clone this out. I don't know what it is, but it really doesn't add to the image. But I like the capture of the monk engrossed in prayer. I like the posture, the composition. A 7.
Southern church scene.
Well, the pews lead you right up to the windows. That's nice. I think he did a very good job with the lighting, the contrast, the tonal range. And it's a challenge when you have a lot of light coming through windows to expose those properly while having other parts of the image exposed properly as well. And you've done that here. I'm not sure if you really need the 2 windows, maybe just the 1, but then it might make it a little bit too narrow. Okay, 7.
Pilgrimskaya Church.
Say that again fast.
Pilgrimskaya Church. Please feel free to say it yourself.
Well, having been to Iceland, I have no ability to pronounce any of their locations, names, churches, anything. It's,
Let alone the volcanoes.
yeah. Okay, so I like the angle of capture and the soaringness is looking up, soaring. You don't need all that sky. It's plain. Your subject matter is this I can't think of the word. The building, the crucifix, and I would tone down the contrast. I would tone down the exposure on this portion. It would bring out a little bit more detail. But I like the simplicity. It was 7.
Sephardic synagogue.
Well, you're led through the image right up here. I was mentioning about the challenge of photographing the interior of a building and then have the windows and unfortunately, you know, there's no detail there. It's a little bit blown out. I would dim those a little bit so that it wouldn't be quite as stark white. But I like how it's framed with the pews here, the platform here, and leading you right up into the central part, the 7.
Holy Church.
I think the effect works very well. But somehow I'm getting a feeling, and it doesn't bother me that the pillars are keystone, but I'm getting a sense that the picture is running downhill, that it needs to be rotated a little bit counterclockwise. Oh. I think it's a little bit busy, but I think the effect works well, and all the coloration around here. A 7.
Okay. Round 2, we have 19. Watching overall.
6. Oh no, these were the 7s, so 7.
Right,
Yeah,
right. 7, 8, 9. Yeah.
yeah.
Chapel,
9,
sanctuary,
7,
up on the mountain,
7,
church steeple in the spring,
7,
2 cherubs, 2.
9,
Welcome to St. Vlad's,
7,
inside a Shinto shrine,
7,
sukkah,
8,
solemn prayer,
9,
reflections on a church door,
7,
2 cherubs,
7,
La Sagrada Familia entrance,
7,
prayer shawls,
9,
Buddha temple monk,
8,
southern church scene,
7.
Ilgrimskaya church.
You're determined to get that right.
I'm
7,
trying. Sephardic synagogue,
7,
holy church.
8.
Okay. We're going to do a first, second, and third, and the other one will be
Okay, that's first.
okay.
The woman is second. This is tough. This will be third.
Okay. Theme, Sybil's House of Worship, Group 2. Honorable mention, 2 cherubs, Sandy. Very nice, Sandy. Third place, Chapel, Bobby. Beautiful job, Bobby. Second place, Solemn Prayer, Harvey. Very nice, Harvey. And first place, Prayer Shawls, Bobby. Once again, fantastic. Okay. All right, we're back. whoever wants can unshare their mics now.
Hello? you want to say?
Bobby, did you say something?
Yes, I wanted to know if you would like to say your thanks and the goodbyes.
Oh, okay. Are there any questions? Anybody want to ask?
No, just congratulations to the winners. Great. Very nice.
Okay, so the person that did the image with the milk drop,
Oh,
how many tries did that take? Mario, how many tries?
I probably took about somewhere between 50 and 100 shots, but that's only one. I've probably got about 15 shots that I'd like to use, but I'm sure they'd kick me out of the club. So I try to show one every 6 months.
You have there's a device, there's a whole rig that you can buy.
I don't have the time and the patience. I tried it once before, didn't do it the right way, did some reading on it and realized, like I tried to do it with the fast shutter speed, it doesn't work. Same way I originally tried to catch lightning bolts, doesn't work.
Right.
I used an external flash, set it off to the side, put it in, I forget what you call it, commander mode. And then I used the flash on the camera, set it at a very low level to set off the slave. And that seemed to work. It froze the moment, so you didn't have to use a fast shutter speed.
Okay.
And that's how you capture the shot.
Yeah,
There are good ways that you see out there to drop things and have it timed properly. I just had a shutter release, and then I would, actually it was blueberries, or most of them were with blueberries. And I would do the shutter and try to drop the blueberries at the right time. That's why I got 100 shots, because it took,
yeah.
and occasionally you'd hit it right.
Yeah.
And you'd catch
Because
that,
I've seen
you'd catch that crown.
I've seen a presentation by someone that they have these rigs that's all, everything is timed. and
Right,
the
they roll
droplets-
it down a ramp, and yeah.
Right,
yeah.
and they get a beautiful shot just about every time.
You made a funny remark. I did this on the kitchen table, so I'm not going to set a big elaborate thing up. It's something I got to put together for a couple of hours, and then I got to get out of there by dinner time. But there is milk all over the place. I use black paper to get the background, like a trifold in the back, and I put black
Right.
paper on the table to do that, but you have to throw it out. It's covered with milk.
Yeah.
And if some people remember, a number of years ago, I did garlic in olive oil, dropping garlic. If you want to see a mess, try. But that was one I did not do the right way. One of these days, I'm going to try that with the external flash to freeze it. But it's a lot of fun to see it in, when you catch that corona every now and then, it's good.
But anyway, thank you for having me again.
thank
good
you
luck.
for coming. I don't know what we would have done if you had said no.
It was my pleasure. Now I'm going to see if I can tune into the Monmouth Camera Club that's meeting right now.
Just one more thing. Diana, you had a couple of questions on chat. Did you want to ask him something?
Oh,
Oh, well, just no, like the one with the eye. Mark didn't say the name of the photo. It's Old Soul. So that's why there's redness in the eye. It's an old guy, an old soul.
yeah. And someone also commented about it, is it someone else's artwork? And yeah, when you take a picture of a statue,
Right.
and some of them were just a straight rendition, I didn't want to just knock them out because of that. But I think in the future, if you're taking a picture of someone else's artwork, a statue, whatever, make it your own. Take it at a different angle, or take part of it, and not just a sort of record shot of the statue.
Mhm.
I'd like to just make a comment. Thank you, Alan, for choosing the synagogue with the talit Talisim, I guess.
Elisa,
Yes, thank you. That was taken in a synagogue in New Brunswick. I was shooting a friend's grandson's bar mitzvah,
Oh,
and I got hundreds of shots of that place. 1 week later to the day, that synagogue burned to ashes.
Oh,
Wow.
my God.
goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful,
where was it, Bobby?
New Brunswick. It was
Oh, wow.
1920, something like that, a real
Wow.
brick building. But if you had seen some of the other pictures, they had that thing lit up. Didn't surprise me in a way. It was, I think the wiring obviously was not sufficient, but so I always wonder, there must be some organization that would like to have the shots, not of the child, of course, but of the building itself, of which I took many.
Bobby, Bob, you never heard that there was a curse on that synagogue, that anybody who shot a photo of it
God.
would burn down.
oh,
Obviously, you never heard
that's not nice.
Harvey has a connection to
Terrible.
God.
I have a comment. Harvey, I just saw your, Harvey Josephson. I
Yes.
just saw your email and you say you did hear from our other judge and he was disappointed. Why didn't he respond to you?
Well, he said he didn't see he only saw one email from me, although I'd sent him a few. And then he's been working late the last few days, so he never got a chance to respond till 6:30 tonight.
Oh,
That's.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Take
you
care.
Thank you,
very
Alan.
much.
Thank you.
thank you.